Hey everyone, this is Jane with Barlow Herbal, and happy Sunday, December 1st of 2024. Here we go into the last month of this year, and what a roller coaster of a ride it has been. Still another month to go. I think there's so much happening in the world right now. To be aware, awake, and stay in a place of love and spiritual growth and connected to a higher consciousness is definitely the place to be and the place to stay in. Now, what I journaled a lot about this week was the fact that I think this has been such a divisive election here in the U.S. And it's been an interesting week because we just had Thanksgiving here in the U.S. And what I wrote here is, did the election divide your family at Thanksgiving this year? And I kind of wanted to journal on that this week because it actually caused a little bit of division in my family. And if you think about how big my family is, and I think that if you are talking about extended families for a lot of people, this can include a big, diverse group of people. So in my family, just my siblings and their kids we're a huge group. So we typically don't spend every Thanksgiving together. We actually did for a long time when I was raising my kids and many of my sisters and brothers were raising our kids. We used to gather every year. We'd take turns at different houses and we would travel. And all of our kids and their cousins got to grow up together and got to spend Thanksgivings together. And as our grown kids have had their own kids, Thanksgiving is a little bit more splintered just because that's just the normal way of things. But it's been very interesting this year watching the division with families and Thanksgiving, and hearing things and talking to people. So after I asked myself that question, that I really wanted to pose to you, because this is something that I think is common all over the U.S. and it might even be common in other places of the world if there are divisive elections going on, or I know that there's a lot of people that have been watching what's happening here in the U.S. So I wrote this. We need to realize that we cannot change anyone. We can only change ourselves. That's the most important thing. And I remember the days when people used to be able to talk politics and be on completely opposite sides of the, Republican, Democrat, or even independent, libertarian specter, and they could still have a meal together. They could still have a conversation together. And it's so interesting to me how freaking polarizing we find ourselves. It's so interesting. So I wrote here, my family was a little divided this year. And then I wrote this, as people walk through their life, their experiences are different. Many things we don't see or witness. Like what I mean by that right now is think about, there's myself and three other siblings we're in our 60s, actually four. So that's, we're up there. And then there's a couple in their 50s, a few in their 50s, and then the rest are in their 40s. My youngest brother is 42. So we grow up, we get married. In fact, my parents encouraged us to be independent. And if we wanted to get married when we were young. I was 18 when I got married, my first marriage. When you grow up and you get married, you start a family of your own. You have jobs and you have partners in your life that grew up with different belief systems than you did. You go to work, you have interactions with coworkers, and over the years, you start to form different opinions based on the people you talk to and what you watch. And I think about that with my family because I'm a little surprised that sometimes, over the years, I've been surprised that some of my siblings haven't embraced the same ideas, lifestyle, and I'll be honest, even political views that I've carried throughout my life, because we have the same parents, and we always think that that's going to dictate. But my thing is, I always believe that it's good to grow and learn, open your mind, change your mind. And I've always thought that the highest sign of intelligence is being able to change your mind when you get new information. So what I wrote is, as people walk through life, their experiences are different. And I recognize this for my own siblings. Many things we don't see or witness. Like, there's a lot of things that I don't see happens with my sisters and their husbands and their grown children, and the friends that they have, and where they socialize, and the things that they do. And this is what I wrote. We don't know what is happening in their lives. The people, the jobs, the vacations, the money problems, the hurts they've had, what they read, what they watch, what they listen to, how they perceive information, how it forms their opinions, their conversations about life, experiences with others. These are all things we don't see. And then we might see some. We might see glimpses if we stay in touch, which, I've stayed in touch with almost all of my siblings on a pretty close basis. But there's things that happen in day-to-day life that we don't see. We don't see how they process big events that happen. When there are big world events that happen, like 9/11, I lived close near 2 or 3 of my siblings when 9/11 happened, and we chatted about it, we talked about it, and even the siblings that didn't live nearby, we talked about it, we chatted about it. So this is processing big life events that happen, and then it's almost like then the fallout from what happens afterward, the things that you learn of what might have happened, or things that weren't disclosed to us as a population. We go down our own rabbit holes, and we form different ideas, and we start to view these big events in a different way, and maybe we don't necessarily catch up our siblings or our family members with the things that we learn, right? So, how they process big events that happen, deaths, weddings, 9/11, and politics in general. And I really think that that's, something that, especially if you start to realize that your family members really start to lean a different way than maybe you lean in the political spectrum, it's something that when you get together over the years, you just simply don't talk about it. And I would say that's been very true for my family. We've had moments where we have talked about things, and then we just kind of choose to not trigger each other, or not bring up things that might cause us to not be friends with each other, and respect each other and not judge. This is how it's always been in our family. This year was a tiny bit different, and it surprised me, and it really reminded me to stay in a loving, non-judgmental place for where other people are in their journeys, right? So what I realized is that these things that form the opinions and the worldview of the people that I love in my family, this happens over many, many years and even decades. At this point, this is decades for me and my siblings. Our parents have been gone for a long time. My dad, almost 27 years. My mom, 10 years. So our parents have been gone a long time. And I think when you become an adult and you start interacting with other people, and especially when you get married, you have partnerships, you maybe have a business partner, you have connections and friendships and relationships, your views change because you have conversations and you have experiences with other people that are outside of your family. And I think those things are good because they expand us as human beings. They broaden our worldview. They broaden our horizons. And then we get to determine what feels true for my soul, what feels true for my spiritual journey. And I think that what you have to recognize too is that many people go through this life without being on a spiritual journey. And that's something really, really, really important to remember. So I realized deeply this year how different I am from my own family. not in a negative or bad way. You know, this has been a really, really interesting year. The way I perceive the world has moved beyond anything I can talk with anyone in my family about. And actually, not everyone. There are a couple of people, and it's not that I am trying to be secretive, but you know, we're all on these individual journeys. And this is why, honestly, with the differences that are kind of popping up in my own family, my close knit siblings, that I respect the journey they're on and I don't judge it, because I want the same thing. I don't want to have my journey judged, and you know, it's just really fascinating to me. In fact, I had a really lovely conversation with a niece who's my sister's daughter. She's in her early 40s. She's the same age as my son, and she lives in the same state. She lives a few hours away, but you know, she comes up on a regular basis and stays with me. And over the years, we've gotten very close. And she's got a 12-year-old daughter who's just, I adore. And we've had some really beautiful conversations and gotten much, much closer over the years, because we've shared a spiritual growth and a spiritual path and different information that we let into our awareness, and even sometimes based on the way that I was raised. And it's interesting to see some of those mindsets and rabbit holes that she's gone down are very similar to the ones that I was raised with. And so we have some of the funnest conversations, deep conversations that I've come to really adore. And we both can expand each other's minds. And it's, you know, the things that she watches and listens to, they're different sometimes than what I watch or listen to. And there's spiritual things, there's God-centered things, there's political things, there's Federal Reserve things, there's things we talk about in preparing and how we feel like, you know, these days are like no other days, and that humanity is on the brink of enlightenment. You know, those are really fun conversations to have, and they can be a little jarring for other people who aren't willing to or just not ready. I don't even know if the right word is willing. So then I wrote this. I've realized deeply this year how different I am from my family. The way I perceive the world has moved beyond anything I can talk about. And I wrote with anyone in my family, but really it's with some people. And then I wrote this: do I have beliefs that are unshakable? Because here's what you kind of this is the realization that I had this week, was there are things that are in my belief system that are unshakable. And I think that this is a really important way to go, because if you think about what happened during 2020, there were things that I saw that I was not willing to do, that took away my sovereignty as a divine spark in this human experience, that I would not do. And these were unshakable beliefs. I think there are beliefs that we can be willing to open ourselves up to new ideas and different ideas, and even possibly changing our minds completely. But the interesting thing is I wrote down a list of things that I believe for myself are unshakable. So then I wrote this: am I willing to open my mind fully to new ideas? And the answer is absolutely yes. On some of my unshakable beliefs, I'll even open my mind and I will listen and I will contemplate and I will pray and I will tune into myself, this divine spark that I am, and I will feel what feels right for me. And maybe there is an unshakable belief that becomes a little bit more shakeable. So it doesn't mean that I have to accept or embrace everything. Just be open and see where it lands. And I think that when we're tuned into our higher self, it can land. A truth lands. You get, what I call truth bumps or shivers. You kind of get, the hairs on the back of your neck stand up. You just get this feeling that what truth is. So I love that. So here I wrote this list of some of my unshakable beliefs. I am a divine spark of pure love. That's the very, very top thing. This is unshakable. There wouldn't be anything anyone would say to me or do to me that would change my belief that I am a divine spark of pure love. That is an unshakable belief. And then this is a heavy, dense place to live as a divine spark. That's unshakable, at least right now at the moment. Maybe this will become a less dense place, but this is a heavy, dense place to live as a divine spark. Doing hard things is good. That is an unshakable belief. And I've been, I talk about this on a regular basis. I was lucky to grow up with parents who didn't, just hand us things. They expected hard things of us physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of the things. And doing hard things is good. Solitude is important for clarity and more. I relish my times of solitude. And this is something that has been a constant in my life as an adult and even as a child and a teenager, growing up, because I had such a big, busy family that I belonged to. When I had moments of, separating myself and diving into a good book, or laying in the grass and just staring at the blades of grass on a warm summer day, just all by myself, try to find a place in the yard where no one would bother me. These moments and times of solitude provide beautiful, beautiful clarity. And to me, solitude is important for clarity and more. Another unshakable belief for me is that technology can help improve my life or take away my divine spark. I believe we can give away our power with technology, but technology can make our lives better, right? It can dull my creativity, steal my time, and program my thoughts. And this is not what I want technology to provide in my life. And for me, this feels like an unshakable belief. I also believe that I control my own destiny because I control my mind. I'm the one who controls my destiny because I'm the one who controls my mind. If I give away my power, I let the news, the podcasts, the reels, the social media, my friends, my family, my husband, my kids, if I let them control what I believe, then I'm giving away my power. I control my own destiny because I control my mind. I'm the one. And if I have moments where I slip out of that, this is where it's really important to maybe write a note, yourself a note that says that. I control my own destiny because I control my mind. That's a beautiful belief system to lock in. It's so beautiful. I am more powerful than I can even imagine. This is an unshakable belief. I know this. And every day I strive to remember what a powerful divine spark of pure love and consciousness that I am. This is, it's interesting how we have to remind ourselves, but it's because of this. This is a heavy, dense place to live as a divine spark. We need to remember that. There are nefarious forces that don't want me to know that. Okay, so I wrote that together. I am more powerful than I can even imagine. And there are nefarious forces that don't want me to know that. So this is an unshakable belief for me. Someone could say, "Oh no, there's no demons or nefarious forces," but I know that's true. That lands in my soul, and I know it's true. Things I can be open to, always, and changing. Right? I can always be open. Some of these things, and here it's not just always. I wrote this: things I can be open to, always, or changing, or willing to be, or should be, or must be. So there are things that I do believe we need to be open to, and the political realm is definitely one of them. I'll just say that right up front. Where whatever side you feel like you're on, we need to listen to each other. And there's a beautiful book called The Untethered Soul, and another beautiful book called Letting Go. These books are powerful books. I'll drop them in the bottom of this, below this video. If you've not read these books, read them and untether your soul from separating yourself from family members or friends that mean something to you and you love, because you can't see eye to eye on a political level. That's one of the saddest reasons to take your family members out of your life, in my opinion. And I know other people, might not agree with that, but that's my opinion. So the things I'm willing to be open to are this: what really happened? Okay, there are so many things that the media tells us, even the alternative media tells us. I'm open to hear anything about anything on what really happened. Whose interpretation did I hear? So when I hear about something that happened, I need to ask myself, whose interpretation of what happened did I hear? And am I willing to listen to someone else's interpretation and then someone else's different interpretation? What we hear someone say on social media, on the news, on the alternative news, does not mean it's the truth. We have to be willing to be open to different interpretations, and it might have to be our own research and our own interpretations, right? Politics and anything system created by humans, anything that's like that, any political system or any system that was created by humans, I am willing to be open to any interpretation. So, a long time ago, I read a book about the Federal Reserve that changed my life forever. A book called The Creature from Jekyll Island. I'll drop that below this too. If you've never read this book, this is a book on the creation of the Federal Reserve, and it will open your mind and it will open your thought process to what really happened and what our currency is really about. The name federal has nothing to do with the federal government. Anyway, cool stuff, right? I'm open to so politics and anything that's a system. I'm open to discussion about anything religious, any religions, and different perspectives and different belief systems and different, things that people hold dear when it comes to religion. I grew up in a very religious family. I grew up Mormon, and it really was our whole life growing up as a Mormon. And, as an adult, I went to Catholic weddings and Jewish weddings, and I went to different services, not just a wedding, but I went to different services for different religions, and I didn't join any of them, but I am open. I'm open to hear other people's interpretations, even with religion. I'm also open to all food and drink and diet. Anything anyone brings to the table that shows. And I've gone the gamut of all of this. I've done 100% raw for 6 months. And I'm talking about fruits and vegetables and all the stuff that was dehydrated, like below 105 degrees in a dehydrator, and I've done juice fasts, and I've been a pescatarian where I only ate fish, and I eat meat, and I've had bacon, and I didn't eat bacon for 12 years. I am open to, and all of this, drink. I didn't have my first sip of alcohol till I was 34 years old, because I grew up where alcohol was considered a sin in the Mormon religion. And then I had my first sip of alcohol when I was 34, and I became a wine drinker for 30 years. I drank a glass of wine on a fairly regular basis until right now, it's been 1 year, just before Thanksgiving of 2023, I decided alcohol does not serve me anymore. I have creativity, I have clarity, I love my beautiful brain, and I'm on a spiritual highway that I want to fast track. And alcohol became not a part of that. And to me, it's not a judgment of saying if you drink, then I'm judging you, because I don't. To me, I'm open. I'm open to food, diet, nutrition, drink, all of the stuff. I'm open to all of it. And all of the exercise and movement, and one thing size doesn't fit all, and what's the best thing for you is not the best thing for me. And it's all, to me, that whole part is all about taking care of our physical body. And there's no one size fits all. And to me, there's no judgment either. There's a huge emotional component sometimes to the food we eat. There's cultural and traditions, and there's beautiful things that we have as humans get to experience. So, I'm open to interpretations and changing my mind and belief systems about all of these things. So I wrote down a few things, and this is how I'm going to end this, on a couple of things on what I feel like you start to release when you're on a spiritual awakening. Because to me, this is not about being like anyone else in this journey. We all get to choose our own path and our own timeline. There's no rushing it, and it's not our job to wake anyone else up, because what does that even mean? I hear myself say the words, but to define that, I used to try to, and it's such a bad idea. From my perspective at this point, the best thing to do is to set an example. And if there are others who follow your example and want to sit with you and have a cup of tea and talk about it, awesome. If they follow your example and they just are inspired in a little way, also great. If someone thinks that what you're doing is wacky, and they don't ever want to spend any time in your presence because they think you're a wacky spiritual person, that's okay too. It's all good. So what you start to realize when you're on an awakening journey is that you no longer need external validation. You don't need anyone else to validate the path that you're on. The second thing is you're no longer attached to material possessions. I don't know who else has experienced this besides me, but that is really, really powerful. I like nice things. I don't have a fancy car. Jewelry is not my jam. I typically wear workout pants, yoga pants all day long. I don't have fancy designer jeans. I don't even like jeans. I like something comfortable, something I can throw my shoes on and go for a walk if someone's in the mood to go with me, and just to be comfortable. So to me, when you let go of the material possessions as far as the need for them, and I'm not saying that you should walk through this life without enjoying the nice things in life, because trust me, I love a nice bed with a fluffy comforter and amazing pillows, and our bathroom floor has heated tiles. And because it gets very, very cold here in the winter, you get up in the middle of the night to use the restroom and the floor is warm. That is amazing. Like, we should enjoy the creature comforts. That is not what I'm talking about. I think that when we reach a point where we can't move in our homes, we're more worried about stuff than we are people, then it can be problematic. So that can be a journey. I think it's important to detach from things and to simplify and unclutter. Because it unclutters your mind and it clears room. It clears room for your spiritual awakening. I think we need to release the need for control. And I think that this happens. You find yourself releasing the need to control other people, the thoughts, the stuff. What I wrote here is I think that control is rooted in fear. Control is an illusion. Control stops the flow of life. When we are trying to control a situation, so not just people, but when we try to control the outcome or a situation, you're basically stopping the flow of life. There is no greater plan at play. Like, let life work out the way it's supposed to work out. And I'm not saying don't take action, don't be proactive, but let life play out the way it's supposed to. The need to control and know the outcome and have the certainty, when you release that, you know that you are on the fast track for spiritual growth and spiritual awakening. Because then you're not worried about what anyone else is doing. You no longer have the need to control that. I love that. So you're not passive or indifferent, but you just learn to surrender. So you're not being passive, and you're not being indifferent about what happens, but you learn to surrender the outcome and the need to control. You set your intentions, you take inspired action, then you release your attachment to the outcome. Trust that whatever unfolds is exactly what you need, and find peace in the uncertainty. And then the last one I wrote here is that when you are on the fast track of spiritual awakening and all of this, abandoning toxic relationships. I think, and what seems odd how I finished this journaling of this week is I started with, is your family divided? Did this Thanksgiving, was this divided because of the current things that are happening in the world? And then I wrote this, because I was writing this whole thing that didn't really have anything to do with what I wrote at the beginning of the week. And it ended up with the importance of abandoning toxic relationships, which I kind of thought, oh my gosh, I don't know if I should even bring this up because it almost doesn't fit. But then again, it does fit. So we need to reevaluate the people and relationships in our life that drain our energy and keep us stuck in old patterns. So I'm not talking about not sitting at a Thanksgiving table with your loved ones because you don't like who they vote for. I'm not talking about that. And the goal is to know the difference in that. You don't want to be with people out of obligation, fear, or comfort. I think that's what happens is we stay in relationships because of obligation, because of fear, and because of comfort, right? I think that I wrote a few more things down, but that kind of just feels like a nice place to end it, because what I'm thinking really is, I think that when we tune in to the divine spark that we are, and we take all of these things, we take what's happening in the world, and we maybe write down a list of all the things that you believe in that are unshakable. Tune into that divine spark that you are, and evaluate what you allow in. And I would say, in all of the context of that, what we need to do is we need to stay open and willing to be able to change our minds when we get new information. And I also think that that could include people. And I'm not talking about toxic people, constant toxic people. Like, that is a whole different conversation than cutting someone out because they voted for someone you don't like. That is very different. I would really, really love to hear what you think about this, because this has been a fascinating week for me. And it feels like an opposite message. Here's my message about, the division between families that's currently happening. And then, what my journaling ended with was, for your spiritual growth, it's important to make sure that you keep the toxicity out. So I'd love to hear what you think about that. I think, opposites can stir up some thoughts and make us think differently. But I do wish for you a beautiful first week in December. remember to stay in a place of love in your heart and openness. Sit down and write your unshakable beliefs. That was a powerful exercise for me. It really made me realize, in fact, you know what, I'm going to end this by just sharing that with you again. Let me see where I wrote this, because that was actually really, really powerful for me. So my unshakable beliefs are this: I'm a divine spark of pure love. This is a heavy, dense place to live as a divine spark. Doing hard things is good. Solitude is important for clarity and more. Technology can help improve my life or take away my divine spark. It can dull my creativity, steal my time, and program my thoughts. I control my own destiny because I control my mind. I am more powerful than I can even imagine, and there are nefarious forces that don't want me to know that. So let that thought take you into this week, and keep your heart open regardless of what happens, and regardless of the things that are happening in the world. Remember you are a divine spark of pure love, and this is a very dense place to live for a divine spark. It's time to bring solitude and love back to the forefront of the way you walk through life. So I love you guys tons. Thanks for being here. I know many of you are here every single week, and I thank you for that. It's a beautiful place for me to share my thoughts and gather my wits about me sometimes, and kind of just speak them out into the universe, and let the quantum entanglement that everything we put out, it's so lovely for me to be able to put that out and just entangle that with everyone else's divine spark. So have a beautiful week, my friends, and I will talk to you soon.